Thank you, and good morning. My name's Peter White. I'm the Deputy Editor of Television Business International, TBI magazine. We've got a cracking panel here today. I'm sure you're all very excited to find out a little bit more about Jersey Shore. So I'd like to introduce my guests. Starting at the end, we have Chris Linn, who is the Executive Vice President of Programming and Head of Production at MTV in the United States. Next to him, we have Caroline Beaton, who is in charge of international sales for the international division Viacom International Media Networks. And then our star guests here, we have Vinny and Deena from the show. So if you could all welcome them. Great. I guess to start with, and maybe we can direct this at Chris, who was at the network when the show was being launched, is just a bit of background. Tell us a little bit about how the show came about and the process of that.
Well, Jersey Shore initially started, it was initially developed at VH1 as a competition elimination show called Guido House, where contestants were competing to be the biggest Guido or Guidette. They passed on that, and the casting tape came to MTV. At that point, we were really moving away from heavily produced reality series, but there was this incredible cast and this subculture that was based on a real experience where groups of people go to the Jersey Shore to spend the summer. And we knew we had something special in this cast, and we decided to approach it from a completely real place of wiring the house with cameras, shooting them 24/7, and then just seeing what happens. The truest sense, a reality show. And sort of the rest is history. This incredible cast came together and sparks flew from the beginning.
Yeah, evidently. And guys, and Vinny, perhaps to start with, how did you get involved? What was the process when you were you attached when it was the original that Chris was talking about?
No, we were all cast differently. I was casted, I just filled out an application online, just regular person, you know. This was something I was gonna do regardless. I'm from a place called Staten Island, New York, and every summer we go to the Jersey Shore, and I was like, why not? You know, people follow me with cameras this time. And that's what happened. We didn't know what the part of our culture already, you know, and we didn't know each other, so it was just kind of magical how we came and interacted with each other, and some relationships formed, some enemies formed. And it was just really quite entertaining, but it was totally real, something that we would normally do. This time we just had cameras watching us. Yeah,
yeah. And Deena, you joined slightly later. I gather that you knew Snooki from before. Tell us a little bit of how you came into the house.
It's actually a funny story. I actually had tried out for season 1, and I actually was part of the cast, but I chose to not go in because one of my family members wasn't doing well. And I didn't know Nicole, so I had called Nicole. Nicole called me and she was like, "Where are you?" Because she thought I was supposed to be in the house. And I was like, "I'm sorry, you know, I couldn't." And the producers were like, "Wait, you guys know each other?" And then after everything, I actually, it was a blessing. I got like a second chance, and Nicole brought me back. So it worked out.
Yeah, yeah. And so tell us a little bit about, as you say, Vinny, you were doing this anyway. This is kind of part of what you were doing growing up. How different, you know, with the cameras, I guess in the season 1 before it sort of snowballed, was that experience in the house?
It was definitely a shock. We get used to the cameras very quickly because they are on us 24 hours a day, even when we sleep at night. So it has to kind of like become just part of your second nature. Yeah. You can't really be conscious of it. That's why everyone asks us, is the show real? Is the show fake? We don't have time to be fake. You know, the cameras are on us 24 hours a day. It's not produced at all. And you just get used to it, and you'd be surprised what your mind gets used to, you know? It's not always fun at times. It gets pretty intense, but you know, it makes for good TV, right?
And did it change after that initial season in terms of, obviously you guys became, you know, celebrities, and people must have been stopping you in the street, you know, when you were going out to the bars and the clubs, and how did that change through the process?
Our exterior life definitely changed, you know, but once we're filming, once we're in that house, we're the same old people. You know, security and production totally blocks out everything around us, meaning like the media, and we're not really thinking like celebrities. We don't like call our managers every day, and we're just bare, no cell phones, nothing, just filming, partying and just doing what we do best.
You have the duck phone, though.
We have the duck phone in case I have to fight with a girl on the phone, but that's about it.
And you say that, you know, in terms of going out and the exposure of what you do. How long are you in that house for? I know it sort of varies in terms of the seasons, and obviously you went to Italy, but in terms of, you know, how long would that be, that holiday house?
Each house is usually about like 5 to 6 weeks, around that time. Yeah. And then when we went from Italy to Jersey, they wanted to get like the real like vibe of us, you know, like transforming from, you know, being in Italy, coming back, being in Jersey, and getting like the whole effect. That's how real our show is. Yeah. So we were filming for a good, almost like 4 months, probably. That's
pretty intense.
Yeah.
So you can tell you sort of form certain friendships, but also certain relationships where you can't stand each other.
Yeah, I mean, I've been, oh, I'm louder now. I've been with these people longer than I've been with my own family. You know, even your own family you're able to like get away from once in a while. But my friend Paulie D on the show, like, he's the only person I can say that I've went to sleep next to for like 4 months in a row every night.
Yeah.
And Chris, talk about how the show changed MTV. I know it really hit your core demographic, what you guys call millennial audience. Tell us about the progress that it made for the channel.
Well, I mean, it's had, you know, unprecedented success on the network. It's the #1 series of all time. It quadrupled our average in the 10 o'clock hour. And so, you know, the one aspect of that is just that it's brought so many more viewers to the channel to sample the other programming that we have. So it's really allowed us to launch a number of other franchises off of the success of Jersey Shore. Yeah. And kind of, you know, it's one of, MTV always has an iconic hit at some point in its evolution, and this is sort of the next one.
And talk about, in terms of the 5 seasons, how did the seasons change the network? Did you notice it grow over you know, the first few seasons, or?
I mean, the series itself has certainly grown in popularity, which again sort of defies the odds. You know, many reality series have a relatively short shelf life, and this one has continued to grow and continue to pleasantly surprise us, which has been a fantastic run. And with that has, you know, again, we've been able to launch other shows with it, and so the network as a whole has continued to strengthen in its ratings.
And Caroline, tell us a little bit about the international side of things. Obviously, the majority of people in the audience here are here because it's not just a hit in the States, it's a hit internationally, and you know, in terms of the finished sales that you guys have done, as well as it being on MTV in other countries. But also, I gather it's sort of grown even further than that in the sense that you are developing international versions of the format.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the interesting thing about a show like Jersey Shore, you never know when you see something on paper like that quite how the reality is going to be. And I think what makes an international smash hit is the look and the feel and the cast in the show. And I think the stuff that these guys get up to, I mean, it has won them fans the world over. And there's something incredibly charming about the show and something that totally transcends any kind of international barriers. And it's really hard to predict where you're going to get a show like that.
Are there certain countries that you perhaps didn't expect it to be such a hit?
I mean, it's aired on MTV in, you know, 150 countries around the world, and it's done pretty well in all of them. It's been top of the ratings in, you know, tens of countries. It literally is on air in every corner of the globe, so there's no part of the world that hasn't shown it, which is somewhat surprising because some of the stuff you might think are more, you know, restrained cultures might be a little bit out there, but it's pretty much gone out everywhere in the world. What's interesting for us is when you look at then the first non-US version of the show, which was of course Geordie Shore in the UK, which has done exactly what Jersey Shore did for MTV US, and it's become MTV UK's.
So tell us a little bit about Geordie Shore. Obviously, I'm not sure if everyone has seen it, but as you say about Jersey Shore, it's a very, it has a culture in and Newcastle is a similar but very different to Jersey, but the culture of going out.
But there's an extreme going out party, you know, people of a certain age getting out there and you know, having fun and partying and being happy to get out there larger than life. I think that's a similarity. I think you guys are easier to understand than the contestants for Jersey Shore, which I think some people assume we can understand it just because we're in the UK, but some of it's pretty hard going. But the sort of theme and the feel of the show is very similar to the original, and the effect it's had on MTV UK's ratings is similar to the original. And again, surprisingly, when I first saw that show, I was like, I wonder how well this will travel. You know, the idea of Geordie, what is a Geordie? People don't even know that outside the UK, but actually it sold, you know, incredibly well for us. So the clever bit for us, I think, comes when we start talking about making local versions outside of the MTV family. And obviously we announced today the deal with TF1 and NT1 here in France. They've taken the format and the finished program rights. And with a show like Jersey Shore, we would probably look at a couple of sophisticated markets at any one time to try and recreate the show and do a local version, because we want to tie back into Chris's group and make sure that we do actually keep the authenticity of the original. I mean, they don't cut corners when they make this. The fact that the house is rigged 24/7, you know, they're getting the stories because they're putting in the work to get them. They're casting these shows brilliantly.
You've got to find the French Vinny and Deena, right?
Exactly, which is going to be hard. You know, we're never going to be able to compete with this. So we would look rather than looking for a high volume format business for a show like Jersey Shore, it's about doing really authentic, true to the brand, top quality versions, a couple at a time, really. So this first deal very much ties into that strategy.
Do you know yet where they're going to make the French version?
No, we don't. They've just optioned the format right, so it's early days to talk about.
And the title is always interesting, as you say, with Jersey Shore. It works because of that. And the name of the show itself is fairly important, right?
Yeah, and there are a couple of countries, again, people can probably make some guesses, but there are a couple of countries where there are some names that would work very well with Shore put on afterwards, and let's hope we do some business in those. So, yeah, but for us it's been, I wouldn't say a surprise hit, because it was clear right out of the gates it was going to do so well on the network, but I'm really delighted by how successful a part of our portfolio it's become.
How do you guys do you guys get a sense of the international reach of it? I mean, obviously you guys went to Italy, so you must have been aware of some of the European, and I'm sure MTV has had you on promo planes to other parts of the world.
Yeah, you know, this happened so quick for us. A lot of the time we were filming, so I don't, until I'm in another country, I don't get the full effect. But nowadays through social media, you know, everybody reaches out to me through Facebook and Twitter from every country, you know, that I can think of, and a new one every day. I'm in Dubai, I'm watching you. I'm in India, I'm watching you. I'm in Mongolia, I'm watching you. And but again, it's still surreal to us because it happened so quickly, and you know, like I said, we're just living our life and filming, and you just don't really realize and comprehend that somebody in the middle of the mountains in Mongolia is watching you fist pump. You know?
I think it really hit me. It was actually recently. I get like fan mail to my house sometimes, and it was like it came all the way from China. Like, and they wrote me a fan mail to my house, and I was like.
Is it scary that they have your address?
No, it was like, cause like it was more to like it's not my address. It goes to like my PO box, but it was really, really cool. I was like, oh my God, China. I was like, they wrote to me.
I think it's amazing that anyone writes letters anymore.
Yeah, right?
That in itself is amazing.
It was insane. I was like, this is so cool.
Talk a little bit about the Italian season. It seemed like it was very different to the experience in Jersey.
It was.
How was that for you guys?
I was a little, and you know why? We were all so out of our element. It was my first time out of the country. I think it was almost all of our first time out of the country like that. And all we had was each other. Yeah. So we really got to know each other more than, I left Italy with relationships with like my roommates that I didn't have before. A lot of us were homesick, and you know, you saw part of us that you didn't see in Jersey.
Yeah. I think, you know, the show started as a place where people were gonna go and party, and then if you develop a great cast that works together, then the show becomes more about us, and just putting us in different places. And that's what happened, you know? That's why my fans wanted to see me grow and see how I am as a person and relate to me and identify me when I'm in a vulnerable state. So when they sent us to Italy, it was the same group of people, the same antics, just in a different place, adjusting. And that's really a cool aspect of the show, just seeing where you can put us and how we'll adapt. And it's still called Jersey Shore, but it's not really about the location anymore. That's where we have the most fun.
Yeah.
But like when you put it somewhere else, it's also fun seeing us adapt and you know, party in those places.
And then, as you said earlier, the season that directly followed that was filmed exactly after that. I'm sure you guys were glad to get back to the shore, right?
Yeah, I think filming season 5 in Jersey, it just really, we appreciated it, like, you know, because it was like, Italy was so different, and when we got back, it was just like, we were back home, and we were like, in our comfort zone.
We loved Italy, but you stay anywhere for like 2 months straight, you want to get out, you know, and that's including your own house.
Yeah,
You want to go home.
And that was something that we had not planned on either.
Really?
Initially, there was going to be a break, and then we would go back into the Jersey house, but they were all sort of commenting on how they miss Jersey and they wish they could get back to Jersey, and there was such a rich story happening amongst the characters that it was very easy. It gave us a new entry into the next season to come back, have them go directly there and continue those storylines into season 5. So we were really following their cues on what was happening, and then that really dictated how we handled production.
How did the decision to take them to Italy come about?
It really came about from listening to them talking about, you know, places they would like to travel. And, you know, Vinny had family in Italy. They obviously have an affinity for many aspects of Italian culture. So in terms of having them travel someplace else, you know, people have asked us, where are you sending them to next? And that's not really the kind of show it is. When we went to Miami, that's because that's what New Yorkers do when it's cold and you want to get away, you go to Miami. Going to Italy was a place that they had interest in, so it made sense. It was a logical aspect of their lives and what they wanted to do. We wouldn't just send them to, you know,
Vinny
Alaska
sounds like he wants to go to Mongolia.
Or Mongolia, probably not.
I relate to Mongolia in many ways, Chris.
And Caroline, did you notice that opening up of an international, you obviously said it was already a huge success, but I guess it even gave it more of an international stamp of the show.
Yeah, I mean, it was great for us. I think everybody, because of you guys, everybody understands what the Jersey Shore phenomenon is, and people who would not have had a clue about this until the show launched, it's become a kind of worldwide shortcut saying it's right at the heart of the zeitgeist still. So everybody kind of gets that. I think it was really great for us to be able to talk to our international audiences, watch you guys doing something in another country. I think that helped perhaps spark the imagination about local formats. And people think, you know what, actually this does work. It's not about actually the location. These guys work so well in their location because it's their comfort zone, but we can absolutely translate that for, and there are so many, there's a kind of a subculture like this anywhere you want to look in the world. It's really led by a demographic more than it is by a geographical location. So I think, yeah, it definitely didn't hurt us that you guys did that.
Everyone has their own
Italy.
GTL and DTF, right?
Yeah. Not in my household, but yeah.
And Chris, let's talk a little bit about what's next for the guys. Obviously, you've announced the renewal for season 6.
Yep.
And I know some of the other guys are filming spin-offs of the show. Can you perhaps tell us a little bit about the sort of extensions of
Sure,
Jersey
there
Shore?
are 2 spin-offs that have been in production right now. The Pauly D project, which follows Pauly and his friends from Rhode Island as he pursues his DJ career, launched last week in the US to stellar ratings. We're very excited about that show. We just finished shooting a spin-off with Snooki and JWoww, which will air later this year, which some members of the cast participated in as well. Combined visits, so there's some cross-pollination amongst them. So those are the 2 spin-offs that are out there, and what's great about those is it gives the audience a chance to see the characters in their lives away from the shore. You know, going to the shore, going on vacation, hanging out, partying, you know, that's one experience, but that's not their lives 24/7, as they could tell you. The rest of the year, you know, there are other things that they're doing. So this gives the audience a chance to have a deeper experience and connect even closer with the characters that they've come to love from Jersey Shore. And then when they come back to the shore, then they're back in that mode as well.
It all kicks off again. So let's talk a little bit about what you guys are doing. I know, Vinny, in season 5, it was sort of left for a few episodes and you know, the sort of process there. What are you guys working on outside of the Shore House?
Well, when I left, that was just real life, you know. And it's not always great. Like they're getting us, like I said, in our happy times and also in our vulnerable times, you know. So that was just like a real life thing that I went through. But then, you know, this has opened up many doors for us, and it's amazing. And you know, I've always liked the entertainment industry, so I get little acting roles and like writing a book, and I get to fulfill many other dreams that I had when I'm off the show. But you know, MTV and the Jersey Shore is our main platform that, you know, brings us up to that level, and then we'll see what we do for it. Yeah. We'll see what we do from that.
Yeah. Yeah. And Deena, what's on your plate?
Same here. I'm just really excited about filming season 6. I'm so happy that they, you know, did have us do another season, and you know, I'm kind of like new, so I'm like wiggling around, figuring out what I'm doing. But
when does season 6 start filming? When do you go back?
I think in a couple months.
Yeah, we'll start at the beginning of the summer once the shore, you know, the shore is sort of only open for a period of time, so we have to wait till it's warm enough.
Of course.
And they'll go. You know, one thing I wanted to say, what's amazing, and I think is a big piece of the show's success, is that despite all the opportunities that they have outside of shooting the show, it's amazing how little they've actually changed as people. You know, this sort of notoriety and celebrity can really change people, but I think they've been able to stay really grounded and rooted, and real, and that comes across in the show, and that's what's really kept them relatable to the audience. Yeah. It's not an easy thing to do.
And there's a few changes. I gather Snooki is pregnant, and there's some other changes as you've grown for 6 years. You say they haven't changed, but each season I'm sure you guys have a little bit.
But you know, it's like it's reality. It's real. So it's kind of like you're following our lives, and with time, our lives change. So, but I mean, with everything going on, it really is. You're gonna film, and it's really like on the spot. So, as much as we're gonna see, you're gonna see us moving on also.
We're actually excited about the change. You know, when I say they haven't changed, I mean in terms of being aware, self-awareness, and being self-conscious, and sometimes people on reality shows suddenly start to act differently and start to become more self-possessed and sort of protected, and they haven't really done that. But what has been fantastic, and I think part of why the audience continues to remain engaged with them, is that you do see them evolve as people. You see how their relationships are changing. You know, people who are friends may not be friends. People who weren't friends have become friends. Intimate relationships, and you know, it has all the aspects that a great soap opera has. You become connected to these characters, and you're following those journeys with them. And I think that Snooki being pregnant is a wonderful opportunity to take all of them to tell new stories and to take them into new places that we haven't been before. She has a lot to adjust to. As her friend, you guys will have a lot to adjust to, and it's new territory.
Do you think we'll see, if the network will have you, we'll see sort of middle-aged Jersey Shore, you'll be getting older, you'll be sort of 40,
Fingers
50,
crossed.
Imagine.
Keep going, never leave.
There's nothing wrong with middle age.
It's all right. My parents still go down the shore sometimes.
We see the parents in the show a fair bit, popping up in the round, right?
Vinny's mom is a big favorite.
Yeah.
She seems to cook some serious feasts for you guys.
Yeah, I'm a mama's boy, and you know, me and Paulie actually like still live in the same house our parents live in, really? And you know, that's just the way we were raised, and I think people are amazed by it. You know.
Yeah. Do you enjoy, apart from the filming, in necessarily the Italy stuff, but you know, coming to meet everyone, and internationally, it seems like you guys sort of enjoy this, or certainly you said you're going you know, to see some of France after this.
Yeah, that's my favorite part. You know, being in the U.S. alone is a little bit isolating. You know, it's so far away from everything in Europe, and especially where we're from. And I think that's what makes the show so amazing, is that we're like different to everyone else, even in America. You know, we're like aliens. And when we come over here, it's like you get to see all these different countries at once that I would never have done. Maybe I would have taken like one trip on vacation to Europe, but now with the show, you know, I'm meeting people and they actually know me, and it's really amazing.
And there's an MTV event later, which I'm sure some of you will be going to. We'll see the Jersey Shore in action, right?
Maybe if I have enough drinks, you'll see me in action.
See some fist pumping tonight?
Vinny's got his bartender license, so he's going to be pouring the drinks.
I got you.
Guys, this has been a fantastic session. I just want to say thank you very much to everybody on the panel, and I'm sure you guys appreciated it. So if we could welcome our panelists in true MIPS style, that would be great.
Thank you for having us.